shows of his. In 1996, Berkshire Hathaway's name was switched to OBH Inc. Of course, that's the DBA names now. In 2000, because we didn't know about Hathdale yet. Hathdale's the legal name. I'll get to that point when I start going through that one. But right now I want to go through this letter that we wrote you to the board of directors and sent that Christmas card about 4 years ago. In 2002, OBH name was switched back to Berkshire Hathaway. The year 2002 proved to be an interesting time. In Nebraska, Berkshire Hathaway and OBH Inc. filed foreign corporation status. To date, each have boards of directors and are operating as regular corporations in Nebraska. However, in Delaware, OBH Inc. was dormant in 2000. Well, actually, it wasn't 2002. It really took place in 2000, and the real name was Hathdale. Under a normal corporation liquidation, all Berkshire shares is to be distributed to the shareholders in tax. The statute of limitation at the time I told you guys was still open. It's closed. Why do you think you were drawing it out? Because of the statutes. Now let me explain how this works. In the OBH Inc. name ID number is the same as Berkshire Hathaway. The transfer book with Wells Fargo contains only the shareholders' transactions from 2002. All shareholders prior to 2002 have disappeared. This happened at the same time the transfer agent was switched from Equiserve of Boston to Wells Fargo. Well, 2002 is a little bit 2 years too early. And when I wrote this, I think I had it just a little bit too quick. But I went back and reviewed my notes finally and agreed that it was 2000. One last point about 2002 was Bill Gates had been buying Berkshire Hathaway Class B shares, 300 shares every week from 2002. Well, what's this 2 always keeps ringing about? Well, 2002 was when the agreement was signed that Mr. Buffett would transfer his shares of A's to B's and then go to Mr. Gates' foundation. At the same time, Bill Gates turned around and started buying every Friday afternoon 300 shares of what? B's. Why would he buy B's? There's no power with B's. Well, it's pretty simple. To the president, according to that, this was in the SEC records. In another 18 years, Bill Gates would have bought about 6,600 shares of Class B's to trade for Don's what? 220,000 shares. Now let me explain this to the board of directors of Berkshire Hathaway, how Don operates. Don turned around and hired Clarence Mock as his attorney. Of course, we all kept our attorney privilege, you know, except that now Mr. Clarence Mock is a partner in a convenience store in Oakland with Don and Harold Baldwin, a sidekick. That was the worst mistake Mock ever made, because then Don decided that he'd get the convenience store up in Dakota City. Guess who owned that? A state legislature guy by the name of Hohenstein. Hohenstein was the state legislature guy, and he had his own little convenience store that his brother-in-law ran, and they made a little money. It was right across from IBP, and of course, Don thought he should have that. So what happened? Oh, in a roundabout way, what really took place was Mock turned around and went and became a special prosecutor. Got appointed. Special prosecutor prosecutes Hohenstein for what? Well, one of the things I heard was buying a TV set for $2,300 out of a trust account. And of course, the pressure they put on the Hohenstein's partner in the law firm that if you don't tell us the rest of the story and the rest of the stuff that could be that would incriminate Mr. Hohenstein, then they'll just take him out too. Oh, they play rough. Yeah, but you got to learn how to play the game now. If you're going to stand up to the big boys, you got to learn to stay in with the kitchen. You know, they always say that if you're going to go to the kitchen, you better know how to get in there and stay in there, because if you're going to play with the big boys, you got to learn how to play. And that's exactly what I learned was how to play. So Mock turns around and he nails Hohenstein as a special prosecutor. Hohenstein goes to jail. Hohenstein has an ace in a hole for $50,000, which is for his girls' college schooling. He let them have that convenience store. Oh, is this all what it was about, was to get this convenience store? Well, probably not everything, but it boiled down to that. Well, guess who was in the convenience store when it was all done? Clarence Mock, Harold Baldwin, and Don Nielsen, a third. Oh, yeah, Clarence Mock's name wasn't on it, but Hope Mock was. That's Clarence's wife. Now, as a special prosecutor, I didn't realize you could end up with a third of the booty, like in Indian and cowboy days, when they turned around and went scalping, and you get half of what everybody gets out there, half the horses, half the this, half the squaws. Well, this was a third of the convenience store. You got that, Mock? You shouldn't have had, because now I'm going to play Don's way. I've been working for him for 25 years. And now I'm going to play the game that he taught me to play. Yeah, Don, I was your best one, and you didn't even see it. But now I'm going to turn around and show you how I'm going to do this game. And at the end, just remember this, boys, board of directors with the fancy suits. I'm sitting here in shorts and a t-shirt and a ball cap on. And I'm just going to kick their asses. Oh, their asses? Don's ass, and then I'm going to kick yours. Now, well, let me explain how this is going to work out. But it's going to have to be a little bit more because that's about an hour away from now. So let me explain this to Don. Don, that day when we settled, I told my attorney up there that you done a good job. You got me 60. Thank you, and I'm going to go play the rest of the game by myself. So I jump in the back. Of course, you got to remember, Don had bought my notes at the bank with the idea to turn around and try to control me. Well, I figured out a plan. It's called go into bankruptcy court. Have a federal judge say to Don, you have to take the payment. He's paying you. You have to take the payment. Well, guess what, Don? That's how I paid you off. And then I stayed in that bankruptcy court for 5 years, and then they finally said, what are you doing here? Oh, I'm hiding. Hiding? Yeah. Let's see them try to tell a federal judge to kick me out. Well, they did finally after 5 years, and the federal judge says, did you got everybody paid? Yep. How long you haven't paid? About 2 years ago. What are you doing in here? I'm paying your fee. It's my protection. What kind of a deal is this? Oh yeah, that's how I protected myself from the rest of the deal for 2 years so I could get my game lined up. Because after I came out of that bankruptcy, I knew, guess who'd be back? Don. Let me explain how that worked, Don, so you understand. I had a deal with Harold, your sidekick. You're going to love this one. Harold and I made a deal. Now look at this and listen to it very carefully. Remember that time when you turned Harold into the IRS and got that refund for turning him into the IRS? And I found out about it with the letter that came from the IRS that says thank you for thank you for reporting this, and you never reported. And I thought, what the hell's going on here? And then it finally dawned on me that you'd turned in Harold and got a refund for turning him in. Harold wanted a copy of that piece of paper. I made a deal with Harold. Tell me for the next 6 months after I'm gone, what is Don doing?